All right, now I feel bad for what I said about the people in the canoe. They gave me a beer, and I was dying of thirst. Camping and fishing, two timeless pursuits that draw us into nature's rhythm. There's a quiet reassurance in resting beside a river that knows you like an old friend. Waking up before dawn isn't a task, it's a privilege. That first sip of freshly brewed coffee feels like a well-earned reward for climbing into those cold, stiff waders. The quiet walk through the pre-dawn darkness holds a sense of anticipation, each step bringing me closer to the river's spell. And when that first light touches the water, it's more than just fishing, it's a reawakening. The day ahead is full of promise. By evening, the fire's warmth calls me back to camp, offering time to reflect on the day's moments before doing it all again the next day. All right, we have a really nice stretch of water here out in front of me. Probably about a 20-yard stretch that I'm going to spend some time. So let's pick it apart before we fish it. So you've got a lot to work with here. So the first thing that you've got is you see the main current coming right down the middle, okay? But then on either side, you've got soft edges. And these soft edges, there is some depth. There's quite a bit of depth. I'd say you're probably 2.5 to 3 feet. So I'm gonna have to put on a pretty heavy bead to get down there. But it also slows down, so you wanna be careful not to get too heavy. And I'm gonna work that all the way up. Then on the far bank, you can see there is also that slow edge. Now, there are fish down the middle of this, okay? But they are pretty much gonna be lurking in these soft edges. So you wanna find that main current. Where is that food coming down? But where can the trout comfortably sit and kind of pick that food off as it comes down? And that's these edges here. You always want to look for edges wherever that fast water and slow water kind of meet. That is like a little cushion for trout to just sit in face upstream, and it makes it easy for them to come out. Adjust your weight, adjust your sighter angle, really take your time to pick it apart. I guarantee there's trout out there. There's no question there's trout out there. It's just a matter of, can you get the right presentation to them? And again, that is not as much worrying about your pattern as it is the weight, the bead size, or your split shots, or whatever it is that you're using the weight. You want to get it down to them. You want to get it in that zone. Let them see it. Let them, move toward it and eat it, and try to keep it down on their level. So let's go and let's try to get after it here. One of the things that I'm working on is spending more time fishing upstream. I have a terrible habit of wanting to fish out and in front, and I think that's a common thing that people get caught up in. And I notice that when I'm at my best, I'm really fishing upstream. It's more comfortable to be out here, but honestly, once that drift gets down into here, and you start swinging, there's occasions where, yeah, you're going to catch some fish on the swing, but boy, I'm really trying as much as I can to fish close and to keep it upstream, keeping my shoulders square to the upstream and just bringing that fly back down to me, and really resisting that temptation to have these super long, there we go. See, when I do that, I catch fish. Okay, so that was right at the bottom of my drift. And he took that right at the bottom. Had I let that go swinging, I was going to miss him. So that's a perfect example of why I need to stay disciplined. Not a big fish, but this time of year, I find that these are the year-old fish. These guys, this is their time to shine. They are in the water system. They are ready to get bigger for the spring, but I'm still catching some decent fish, but I notice that I'm catching a lot of like 1-year-old fish. I think today's going to be about just covering water. Just water's fairly low. I think today's going to just be about covering water the best that you can. There we go. Looks like he took a Frenchie. All right, I'm going to get up here a little bit closer to this edge. Try to put that fly right between these two rocks up there into that little current seam. There's a fish. Very nice. Now see, that was right in between those rocks in there, and that's where casting is so important, because if I didn't put that fly on the money, this fish was not going to eat. This is another 1-year-old fish. He's going to be bigger in the spring during hatch season. This guy will be a nice healthy brown, but he lived right over there. See you, buddy. And I just had to tuck that fly in, and it got the depth, and boom, he came out from under that rock and just took it. So that was pretty cool. I know it's not a big fish, but man, I have to do everything, whether a fish is 6 inches long or 16 inches long. You've got to do the same thing. And that's what's awesome about this. Like, no, I didn't have an epic battle there. That fish wasn't going to break off my 4X tippet that I'm currently using. But man, I had to present that fly the same way I would if that trout was 16 inches to get him to eat. And that's what I love about this game. Different types of year. It's the fall. I expect to catch more, and I don't know the reason. I just experience. This is a river where I come in the spring, and I expect to catch anywhere from 12 to 18 inch fish regularly. When I come in the fall, those fish are still here, but I don't know what it is, but you're catching a lot of 1-year-old fish. I don't know if the older fish are getting ready to spawn. If the water's lower, they're seeking, refuge places, and these guys are taking over the premium lives. I don't know what the scientific reason is, but I can tell you by experience, come fall, I expect to catch more fish, that 1-year-old that were born last year, that kind of thing. I would say a month from now, once the spawn starts, once you start fishing eggs, you're going to see a return to the bigger fish. All right, so I'm now going to be floating a pair. I have 2 really lightweight beads, 2 2.4s on, and going to be fishing at a little bit of a distance. So might actually be floating my sighter. So I'm going to take advantage of the situation right now. I don't have a lot of wind, so I can get away with fishing lighter flies, which I prefer to do when I can. I do feel like they just give you more of a natural drift, especially in low water like this. Sometimes when you start getting wind, you just have to put more weight on, just to keep it in control. But if I can get away with fishing a pair of 2.4 beaded flies, man, I feel like that gives you such a nice, neutrally buoyant kind of a drift. There's a fish. He took that at the end. Very nice. Got down at the bottom of my drift, just in that depth. Looks like he's on the point. All right. Took the little Jack Daniels. Thank you, Corey, for sharing that pattern. I have that in a size 16 with a 2-4 bead on there. And he took that on the swing. Nice brownie, nice wild brown. Hey, bud. I was getting ready to pick up, and sure enough, he was there, just on the bottom of that drift, right down in there. All right, let's see if we can't find another guy down here. Well, I'd like to see another one right out in front of me here. Go. Not a big guy, but just what I wanted to see. Ah, well, quick release. He got off. No worries. There will be more like him today. There's a couple things I'm looking at here. So you've got all of what I would call pocket water here. But then within that pocket water, you have to look for just little ecosystems, if you will, where there are likely holding spots. So there's a lot to look at here. There's a lot to read. Now, granted, fish could be anywhere in here, but I like to look for systems within the system. So looking out in front of me, you've got this choppy kind of water here, which I wouldn't be surprised if I picked up a fish. However, as I look above that, I think the more likely holding spot is this flatter water. You see how the water comes, cascades down there, and then it flattens out right in there. And then there's this spot here, another little pocket straight out, and then you can see some depth right where that tree is overhanging. You see some depth in that water. So what I want to try to do is I'm going to try to slide down. I'm going to try to approach it, and I'm going to try to bring my fly up into here and let it drift down into that flat part. I just think in these conditions where trout are, looking for hiding places, that's a premium lie, because that is just, there's limited places where these fish can hold because of the limited CFCs that are coming out right now. So what I want to try to do is I'm going to try to get below this, all right? And I'm staying crouched down. I'm going to adjust my camera so you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to put the fly, hopefully you can see my sighter, but I'm letting it drift right down into some depth here. And that just seems like such a likely holding place. Now, it's a little difficult to get a drift because I'm fishing longer than I normally would want to. But I can tuck it in there and kind of just lead the pair of flies through that zone. And then I can tuck it along the bank. I feel like I'm throwing it right into somebody's living room in there. And here we go, right into the living room. And he took it. Nice. Very nice. All right, buds. Come on here. Okay. He was watching Trout flicks. I'm not sure what the top 10 shows are on Troutflix right now, but probably not troutstrike.com. So nice little guy there. Picked him right out of his living room. He was comfortable and just spoiled his day. So, all right, let's see if we can do that again. All right, so we're gonna stay here. We're gonna try to see if there's another one home. I gave this a little bit of time. I gave this a little bit of time to settle, and I'm gonna try the same thing. I think that's a likely holding area. Like I said, these deeper spots, good hiding spots, they're at a premium right now for these fish. So it is possible that they are kind of bundled up together. So let's see if we can find another one in here that might be willing to eat. See if there's another one home. That last one was right along the bank. I'm just going to shuffle my feet up one step and try to get in the slot just above. All right, as I'm moving up, we're going to read this water ahead of me. That's the other thing. Try to read as you go. Try to read the water so you can anticipate what's going to happen. Now, I'm targeting the bank, and meanwhile, I've neglected the middle of the river out here. I'm going to hit that on my way back. But out here, this is my primary focus. I'm hitting this bank all the way up to that rock up there. And I'm just picking it apart, and I'm looking for each little, like I said, each little ecosystem. So this right in front of me, I'm surprised did not yield a fish, okay? That is like a trout suburban development right there. You've got two big rocks that are flat, that are slow in the current, bringing down to some depth. You've got a main feed line right down the middle, bringing food through. I'm really kind of surprised. Now, I did catch that fish down at the end of here, but surprised that I didn't catch one out of here. Now, I am gonna put a couple more drifts through there. I'm not completely done with that yet, but I feel like I'm out in front of it at this point and could potentially have spooked them. My next target's gonna be up here. I've got a series of riffles and just tiny little runs, little ecosystems that I need to explore with my pair of nymphs that I want to try to hit. Mainly this channel through here up into those rocks, and then when you get above those rocks, you get some overhanging branches. You get some real nice flat water along the edge that looks like it's got a little bit of depth. So just try to read as you go. I'm not quite satisfied with this, that I've gotten everything out of this in front of me. I feel like I need to try a different drift here. I'm gonna float the sighter, and there we go, I got one. I knew I wasn't done with that spot. All right, he took the point fly. Very nice, very nice. How you doing, dude? I don't know where all your aunts and uncles and parents are. They must be out partying, leaving you kids home alone, but I'm fine with that. I like this spot right here. So if you take a look at, I'll zoom in to this rock here, you kind of got a channel that runs. Oh my goodness, I have a fish on. This is hilarious. I'm literally filming this and my fly was dragging and I've got a fish on. Oh, he's off. Oh well. So there you go. Just dragging flies, swinging flies. That's too funny. So you've got this run. So what I want to try to do is I want to try to get my flies up in here. If I don't catch another one here by swinging, try to get it down into that run right there, right in front of that green rock. There's like an undercut in there that I can see, and then it flows down. So it's a little tricky, but I'm going to try to get one in there and see if we can't catch one. There we are. Right by that rock, he came out and swiped it. Oh, he took the tag too. Took the waltz worm. This is really shallow water here. Shallow riffles. Trout like shallow riffles, makes for easy meals, but they tend to only hang in shallow riffles if they're really feeding. It's not a typical lie for them, so you have to have active fish in shallow riffles. All right, so I'm getting into that more pocket area now, and we got one on. All right, just a little guy. Let him get off there. Nothing special. Keep fishing this seam here, right along the bank there. There's fish. Monster. That is about the tiniest brown trout you can catch. Look at that. Look at that guy. Look at that little dude. There's about the tiniest guy you can catch. Like a little sardine. Over here to a Tightline dry dropper. I'm gonna just kind of get acclimated by fishing downstream from me just for a minute until I kind of get a feel for things and get into position, because I want to fish under that tree over there. So it's a little bit of a fishy looking water below me. Just trying to get acclimated on what it's going to feel like to fish this. So again, I'm fishing it on a tight line. I've got the caddis on the tag, and I've got a small beaded nymph at the point, and fishing this Tightline dry dropper. So no fly line, just using the weight of the small beaded nymph to get the distance, and then the dry fly serves as a suspension device. All right, now I'm going to target kind of where I wanted to fish here, which is right under this tree, this slow section of water here. See if I can't get something to come up and take a look at this presentation. And you'd be surprised at how far you can cast just that little bit of weight without any fly line. And when you're not managing the weighted fly line or the floating fly line, you're actually having a lot less problem with drag. I mean, certainly you can't use this if you need to fish at long distances, but you know, I'm fishing at the right distance here. A dry fly line at this point is not going to give me, or a floating fly line rather, is not going to give me really an advantage in this particular situation, just because I don't need to cast very far. So I'm going to use this. See if I get any looks. And I'm just going to keep working closer and closer to that edge. Canoers, really? They're going to canoe? They're coming. I see them. They're really going to try to float on this when it's at 200 CFS. How you like that? Canoer came by, gave me a beer. I'm dying of thirst. Oh man, that's good. All right, now I feel bad for what I said about the people in the canoe. They gave me a beer, and I was dying of thirst. Beautiful. Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. Nice fish too. Sweet. Bake that caddis. See you, buddy. Yes. As the day comes to a close, I can't help but reflect on everything the river gave me today. From tightline nymphing to casting spinners in the evening light, each moment felt like a lesson in patience, skill, and the joy of being fully immersed in nature. With every trout caught, I was reminded why I keep coming back. This river is more than just water. It's a place of peace, challenge, and endless possibility. Now, with the sun setting and the day behind me, I walk back to camp, ready for a hot meal and the warmth of a fire. Tomorrow, I'll do it all over again, because out here, it's not just about the fish. It's about everything the river gives in return.